Hey guys, what's going on? It's me, PGC. Hope I'm going to back with another video, and I know it's been a while, but yeah, I was bored, so let's do what if France was an empire? Now, if you've watched my other videos, you'd know this map's different. Like, let me get the old map. Yeah, this is what I used to use, but now we have this map, which, you know, has capital cities, and, more, it's a lot more detailed. So yeah, we'll be using the West map. Mhm. So France has came to power. France, conservative, we want an empire government has came to power in France. Oh, how can I forget? France's colonies. Oh, okay, there we go. France's colonies. It already has a colony such as which is French Guiana. So they could also expand in South America. So France's first course of action is declaring war on Belgium and the Netherlands. Belgium, no, Belgium and Luxembourg. So they declare war on Belgium and Luxembourg. And this is not a very slow invasion. They're two very weak countries against. Also, NATO doesn't exist, or the EU, because that just messes this entire thing up. They start. So yeah, a very quick, easy invasion. Luxembourg is already out. The Battle of Brussels happens. France wins that with ease, and they manage to eventually by all of Belgium, and then there's a peace treaty, which some of you could have guessed. Okay. Oh, okay. Would be full annexation, the capitals, and it was very poorly made. And just do that. There. Brussels and Luxembourg City have just been turned into major cities and some capitals. Simple as math is. Now France. France is pretty happy with that. Their next target might not be what is commonly used, but it's the Switzerland. Now this will be really hard to invade. Yeah, if you're wondering, also just to make sure people know, the capital cities, the European countries have three capitals, like France. That's Monaco and Andorra, right? Everyone knows that. So this is Swiss. This is Switzerland's capital. The one on the left hand side, the right hand side one is um Liechtenstein. Right. So France, you can't really invade Switzerland, but like they're doing this because this region here has like a French population. So they're gonna try. So they're gonna start that. This is gonna be going on for months, maybe even like years of just trying to get through the Alps. But like we should get to some more Swiss like flatter areas, and the capital is really close. So they managed to do capture it, which kind of just causes this surrendering of Switzerland. They don't do a lot because they don't really need to do a lot. If I cannot take on Switzerland, it's treaty in 3, 2, 1, and boom. This is the just fix that. Yeah, this is the nearest Switzerland. They lost their western region with a pretty good French, but they got a couple of Germans in there as well. Switzerland's had to move their capital because France annexed that. And yeah, this is the new France. Now, next target, unless you know history, um, if you know our history, well, not even a lot, just a bit of history. This will make sense, but if it doesn't, this might be very random. France will declare war. Oh, oh my days. Wait. Oh my days. Okay, okay. Right. Right. Okay. We good? Yeah. On Algeria. Now, if you don't wonder why, but Algeria had a very historical French aspect. It was when the French started colonizing Africa, Algeria was their first ever colony. It was actually treated as if it was part of this part of France, like, France we have today. And yeah, so, for the historical factor, why not? So Algeria, they're actually going to put up a fight. They're going to start a counter-offensive in the south. Right, they're going to start trying to push the French back, which the French weren't expecting the Algerians to have a good enough military for this. The French are actually going to, hold them up. And then the French make a second landing in Algeria. They make a landing here, managing to capture. the only two quote unquote major Algerian cities that are on this map. So yeah, they managed to start pushing inwards from this because they weren't expecting any major city to be instantly captured. So they divert the force of the way, allowing them to just kind of enter into this territory. They do make some pushbacks into those guys, but then these guys don't really get a pushback. Because the Algerians are now basically fighting a two-front war. The Algerians kind of know that they're eventually going to lose. Algiers is captured. They have no coastline. The French just scored a little bit more, and eventually the Algerians surrender. Now you'll see the peace treaty in three, two, one, and boom. Yeah, they did not take off Algeria. They just took the northern coastline, which was historically more French than the rest of Algeria, because the rest is kind of desert. Also, Algeria's new capital isn't even a city. It's gonna shove it somewhere. There isn't, because they took both their pretty good city, major cities. You know, France already has a good amount of major cities, right? France's next target is the Netherlands. Now, the reason for the Netherlands, there is no reason because there's no French minority. Nothing about the Netherlands is French. But Napoleon had it, so let's go for it. Oh, they invade the Netherlands, captain Rotterdam, and that Amsterdam. Yeah, whoever would have seen that coming. I'm actually not going to cut to the peace treaty because this will take 2 seconds. Boom. Oh, like a minute. Oh, okay. Okay, full annexation. Yeah, whoever would have seen that coming. Now, imagine looking pretty imperial, if you say so myself. Look at northern Algeria, look at the Pensacola. Life is crazy. Now they're going to declare war at a big target. I'll give you a clue. One of these three: Germany, Italy. I'll give you 3 seconds. One, two, three, and declaration of declaration. Oh my god, it has to be a declaration of war. Spain. So they're gonna start color. Start the invasion of northern Andorra because they're Andorra. Andorra instantly surrenders, but Andorra didn't stand a chance. They're gonna start the invasion of Spanish coastal areas. Invasion. Now the Spanish are not an easy target. The Spanish are up there. So the Spanish are so there's going to be some heavy resistance. Spanish don't really like the French. They're going to manage to re-liberate. I don't know what city that is. I can't be bothered checking. So yeah, they're gonna start the invasion. It's gonna go pretty good for this French. They're gonna manage to get all the way over to the Spanish Galicia. It's called Spanish Galicia because there's two Galicias. Oh, and they're gonna manage to take all the northern coast, and the Spanish are a bit like, oh no, no, they're gonna invade these island. I forgot what they're called. Um, yeah, and then they're gonna start getting real close to Madrid. And now one of the hardest battles ever fought is the first battle of Madrid. It's called the first because the Spanish win the battle of Madrid, managed to make a pretty good counter-offensive. They just pushed them quite far away from Madrid. But then the French start getting some more ground because that counter-offensive was not long-lasting. They managed to get to Madrid again. They managed to get to Madrid again. Invade the second battle of Madrid, which they lose. So yeah, then there's a couple more months of fighting by the French and Spanish, which the French have won in there. Then eventually, the remainder of the Spanish government in this area decides to surrender to the France. They're like, France, hey, France, we lost. Yeah. Now you're gonna see the peace treaty in 3, 2, 1. This is the peace treaty. Good chunk of North for Iberia. And then they're quickly they're just gonna be like, hey, and then Monaco says, okay, oh, France then. The France, they're looking pretty big, okay? They've got an empire going on. And now the French, they're kind of have a look around, they're like, where should we So, I guess I go, you know what? We didn't Spain. I think we hyped it off. Let's invade Germany. Yeah. Wow. Okay. There's the Fair War in Germany. Oh no, some countries come to the help of Germany. UK, oh, the UK declares war. The UK declares war on France along with Italy and Austria. France is now at war with these four nations. No, obviously the UK will just be bombing France. There won't be any, there won't be any, major things, like invasions by the UK. Yeah. Well, the French. The French will not get as far as they were hoping because of the severe bombing, which allows the Germans to make a push. Um, for one of the very first time, for very often, the Germans managed to invade into the Netherlands. The North Netherlands, the Germans have managed to put a foothold and nearly reach Amsterdam. Actually, they do capture Amsterdam, and now the French are a bit concerned because, oh no, the Italians have captured Corsica. So in response to that, you do invade the South, trying to go around the Alps. Yeah, you do get a pretty good front line on the Italians, but the Corsicans prefer the Italians. They do not want to do this, so they will actually start fighting for the Italians and helping. The Italians are getting managed to get a pushback against the French. French thought this would have been an easy done war, so they start trying to get to Frankfurt. Okay, I believe that's Frankfurt. Yeah, anyway, so they start going straight for Frankfurt, which is one of Germany's biggest cities. They do manage to capture it. They caught They managed to capture Frankfurt, and now they're like, "Yay! We got a major city." But oh no, here come the Germans recapturing Frankfurt, and they're like, "Oh crap, we just lost the only kind of city we have from the Germans." And the Germans are also managing to win in the north. So what the French decide to do is take a good lots of troops out from near Alsace-Lorraine and the Rhineland and decide to try and refocus up in the Netherlands, which they did. They managed to recapture Amsterdam, but the Germans make another invasion into the rest of the Benelux, creating a solid front line. And this is now they're kind of like a bit like, oh no, what do we do? Because we're kind of cooked, right? We thought this war would have been easy done. Well, not easy and done because it's the Germans and they can put up a fight. It was a bit more like, yeah, we could get this done in like a year or two, but no. It's been about, let's say, like nearly a year. This is what's happened. The French trying to massive invasion, managing to capture whatever city this is. I don't know. I added this as well to the cities map that they gave me, and I have no idea what city that is. But so the Germans viewing them as a bit of a major loss, but the Germans managed to capture Brussels, Amsterdam, and Rotterdam, capturing the entire Benelux, trying to go capture Luxembourg City, which they end up doing. The battle for Luxembourg is won. It is known as Luxembourg's Liberation Day by the Germans. Uh, the French are looking at this like, oh crap, and then Dunkirk area, Calais area is invaded. Core France has been invaded by the Germans. So you know what the French do? They instantly start pulling their troops out of this major city, just keeping them near Alsace-Lorraine, so they have some advantage, and start trying to push into the Netherlands. Not the Netherlands, the Benelux, which is they managed to get back their territory. They managed to get a good chunk of South Belgium, but they did not get it up. They did not manage to kick the Germans out of the territory that they're currently occupying. Now the French are looking at this like, oh no, can someone help? And everyone's just kind of like, no, you're not winning the war. They are still putting up a good fight against the Italians and managed to make another counter-offensive. And after some fighting, they regain the island of Corsica, claiming it is theirs, and make a landing in Sardinia, managing to claim the island. But now here comes something crazy. The Italians decide to invade North Algeria. Now, no one really ever thought that North Algeria would be invaded during this war. They thought it's going to be left alone and core France would be invaded, but Algeria has been invaded by the Italians. This was not known by the UK, Germany, or Austria, but they do it, and it is really successful because the French weren't expecting it. Nobody was expecting it. So the Italians managed to get a massive push into Algeria, managed to capture Algiers, the biggest city and the former capital of the nation of Algeria, managing to just push straight in, capturing all this northern coastline, basically taking on French Algeria. Basically, occupying most of French Algeria, but obviously it would surrender. They're not just going to go like south for no reason. So the French, this is the biggest loss for the French. They made most of the Benelux, but getting losing one of their biggest colony, not colony, other than French Guiana, is pretty losing. So what are they gonna do? They're gonna try and capture Venice. I don't know why Venice isn't on this map, but I know Venice is here. They managed to capture Venice, the Battle of Venice. Great. That's a pretty good W for the French. So then they start pushing down into Italy, core Italy. Oh, and it's looking pretty good. Right. So, and then they're like, you know what? If we can do this against Italy, we can win against the Germans. So they start pushing in against the Germans. They're not doing half bad at first. Look at this solid front line. But oh no, the Brits make their landing. They managed to create a front line in Brittany, capturing the entire Brittany area. The French were not expecting the Brits to make a landing, eventually capturing this major city and starting to create a good solid front line against the French. Now the French, they are fighting a three-front war. Is it three front? One, two, three, four. Is it four? Three or four? I don't know. I don't know what you can this. So the French are like, oh no. And then the Germans managed to get the Dunkirk area and get real close to Paris. Like scarily close to Paris. Now the French are looking at this a bit like, oh, we might be cooked. So they pull all of their troops out of Germany, all of their troops out of Germany, and start pushing back against the northern Germans, trying to keep them away from Paris, and managing to recapture this currently British occupied city. They're trying to make a liberation. They try to retake back Algeria, but it's not long lived as the Italians managed to push them right back out, and they just wasted a good amount of money on that. Whilst the Italians occupy most of the rest of it. The Italians managed to regain Sardinia and reinvade Corsica, and they start pushing up the north. I think the French start taking more and more troops out to defend the north, which is the most important part of France, in my opinion, because it has, their capital city. Then the Germans managed to invade Oslo-Lorraine, managing to take all of Oslo and all of Lorraine. And the French realized that this war might not be won. They then realize that the Germans might get help. The British start pushing more and recapturing this major city, eventually meeting up, capturing the entire northern coastline of the French. And eventually, after months and months of more fighting, Paris is surrounded by German and British troops. The French more counteroffensive, trying to break through. Um, encirclement, but it does not work. They manage to reinforce the encirclement. Eventually, the Battle of Paris in 2028 caused the fall of the French Empire. And now let's have a look at the peace. The French were actually the French were not successful in building their empire in 2025. A good start. The second they declared war on Germany. You realize that four of the countries were won in the war. That means video. If you enjoyed it, subscribe. I'm not gonna force you to. And yeah, we hope to the next video. Probably like. So yeah, see you soon.